Welcome to another Packaging Europe podcast. I'm Tim Sykes, and today's subject is the life cycle of coated fibre materials. This is an increasingly important topic, and the trend of migration to paper-based packaging continues to grow, with more and more emphasis on composite substrates that can extend its functionality. And this in turn raises new questions about circularity within one of the most successful packaging material recycling streams. And I'm delighted today to be joined by two experts from Stora Enso who can talk us through these issues. We have Maria Holopainen, who is business lead on circular economy, and Oliver Kuhn, who's vice president and head of circular packaging hub in the packaging materials division with a focus on R&D. So they're going to share insights from Stora Enso's material production, R&D, and recycling activities to support us in this conversation. So welcome to both of you, Maria and Oliver.
Thank you very much, Tim.
Hi, Tim. Thank you.
So let's maybe talk through the whole life cycle of a fiber-based packaging material and maybe try to shed light on some of the challenges and trends that we're seeing at each of these stages. And therefore, the first thing that we need to talk about is putting materials on the market in the first place. And maybe, Maria, could you start by sketching out the big picture?
Thank you. So indeed, in terms of fiber-based packaging and packaging materials by Stora Enso, it is of our interest to make sure that our materials are technically recyclable, but that is not enough. We also want to make them recycled or get recycled. But if we start with technically recyclable materials, previously there have been some recyclability assessment protocols followed by the industry, delivered by different agencies. But recently, within Forever Green, that is the cross-industry alliance of over 100 members, representing truly the entire life cycle of fiber-based packaging, there has been development to come up with recyclability evaluation protocol that enables the whole fiber-based packaging sector to evaluate and score recyclability of fiber-based packaging. And this is work where also Stora Enso and our experts have been engaged with. And there now, as a starting point, there is a standard mill recyclability laboratory test method. And now the work has continued with having also recyclability laboratory test method for recycling mill with flotation de-inking process. And also now the work has continued with recyclability laboratory test method with recycling or for recycling mills with a specialized process available. And these tools and test methods are being continuously updated. And they will now really enable the whole fiber-based packaging sector to look at and assess recyclability in a common way. And we really hope to see these protocols being used by the industry, and we have also started to use them ourselves.
Thank you so much, Maria. So, Oliver, what does this mean from an innovation perspective, having these much more precise protocols for recyclability?
Yeah, in our innovation activities for the improved circularity of our key components of our board, that means fiber and barrier, we are looking right now for innovative solutions to keep as long as possible our material, that means fiber and barrier, in the loop, but also to create opportunities to use this material in higher value application when it's economical and ecological feasible. Here we are with our partners along the value chain, with startups, with academia, looking for different solutions. And here we're working very close together also with the entire value chain to also implement these solutions.
Great, thank you. So let's move along the next stage in the life cycle. You've put your recyclable fiber-based material onto the market. It's been used in packaging. It's been disposed in the correct way by the consumer. And now we get to the collection and sorting stage of the life cycle. So Maria, maybe you could give us an overview of the current situation when it comes to paper-based packaging materials, and also where do you see the key pain points that industry still needs to address when it comes to getting them recycled?
So, if we look at the paper for recycling, or PFR, as the industry calls it, paper for recycling market in general, we see that about 50 million tons of paper for recycling were collected, and majority of that is consumed within Europe, but some of it is still exported. And now, if we then dive a bit deeper into the paper and board packaging recycling rate, we know that there has been a significant growth since end of 90s, when the recycling rate was around 60%, up to almost 83% where we are today. And all of that is thanks to the improvements that we have witnessed across the Europe in collection systems over the last decades. And we can proudly say that Europe is a world champion when it comes to paper and paperboard collection and recycling. However, as you said, Tim, it is not truly equally distributed. And there is still room for improvement in some areas, particularly what comes to food and beverage packaging, where we see that both collection and sorting, as well as recycling capabilities, need to be improved.
So, Oliver, maybe you can elaborate a little bit on that in terms of what activities Stora Enso has at the moment, and what projects you're working on to address these more complex applications.
Yeah, for us, recycled fiber is an important part of our approach to achieve really the application of this material in higher value application. That means, but also that we have to get the right input streams. In particular, what Maria mentioned in food applied material, I think here we have less contamination. So it's for us a quality of fiber, what is very useful in our future application and cascading of recycled fiber. So therefore, we are working along with value chain with partners, how we can set up a system where we can have high quality fiber in our streams, and then also processing in our facilities to have then the according high quality application for this material. And this is for us, for example, in the project Cup Collective, where with our partners now setting up a system where we can ensure that we collect cups in quality what we can further recycle. And we showed this already 2019 in Langebrücke, then we can recycle cups in this case. So this is one approach where we have this Cup Collective project, but also within our customer, we are discussing and the implementation of improved sorting and collection systems to ensure that we have, in particular, food-approved material separated in our streams and then can further process them.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so let's move to the next stage of the life cycle, and indeed, Stora Enso has direct experience as a recycler as well as a producer of materials. What are the core insights, Oliver, that you can apply from recycling fibers that we need to know about?
Yeah, we have different facilities, Stora Enso, for processing recycled fibers. One very big one we have in Langebrücke, where we also collecting and sorting paper and then also recycling this material. But we have also beverage cartons and corrugated packaging material recycling in Varkaus in Finland. And recently we started our operation in Ostrołęka in Poland, where we have a dedicated UBC recycling line, where we have right now very high developed technology to separate the barrier from the fiber to ensure that we have on the other side the fiber recycling and bringing this in our streams, on the other side to then separate the polyol fraction, and in cooperation with Tetra Pak, then plastic gram company then is taking care about the polyol recycling and then also implementing this back in the market. So we have several activities where we are processing recycled fiber on industrial scale, but we are learning also that out of these processes. And I have also to emphasize overall, we have 1.6 million tons of recycled fiber in our assets they're producing. So therefore, it's a reasonable amount. And in particular, the UBC recycling in Poland, Ostrołęka, they have around 50,000 tons capacity on UBC.
Thank you. And Oliver, as I talked about in the introduction, we see more and more shifts from polymers to paper, and therefore more and more demand on the functionality that paper-based packaging can deliver. And then this starts to require additional substrates for barriers and more of that kind of material entering into the paper recycling stream. How do you view the challenges that arise around barrier recycling?
In the area of barrier recycling, it's very important that for sure we have a status where we already, in particular in Ostrołęka, are separating the barrier from the fiber. Also in Langebrücke, we could also show that from cups we can separate the barrier here also from the fiber. So this technology, I guess we have a very good experience, and also processing is also on industrial scale. On the other side, we are always looking in innovation how we can improve. And the circularity of fiber and barrier, there are for sure always a question how we can ensure a stream that this stream, if it's separated, could create higher value application again when it makes economical, ecological sense. And here we have, together with our platform Rematch, that means the Recycle Material Challenge with several partners in Business Finland. We have an activity here where we are looking very detailed how we can improve separation from the barrier from the fiber to ensure that we have material what can be used then in the recycling stream for higher value application. That means in particular for our fiber containing barrier that has less fiber on the barrier. And here we are looking together with partners, as I said, startups, academia, but also suppliers, how we can ensure that we are moving in next steps to have very pure streams. That means polymer containing barrier and fiber, what we can use in our streams. But not only the fiber separation process is for us important, and also in our approach, we are looking how the streams can be, in particular the polymer containing streams, recycled. And here in this Rematch project, we are also considering mechanical recycling with our partners, but also the chem cycling and means also pyrolysis and gasification to look when we purify the streams, what is the best solution to recycle them and bring them back in applications where it's useful and creating also higher value. So here we have several activities ongoing where we are, as I said, ensuring that we have more purified material of multi-layer material that we can then recycle.
Thank you. And Maria, we've just heard about the range of different end-of-life scenarios, and I'd like to come back to the beginning of the cycle that we've been talking about and ask you what insights has Stora Enso taken from this end-of-life experience that we can apply back to designing for recyclability? How do you see the future of barrier developments in particular when it comes to this?
Thank you, Tim. I would like to sort of add another layer of complexity to the whole discussion. And when we talk about sort of material recovery, what comes to both fiber as well as the barrier, that is, of course, the top priority for us. But we know that in some cases where materials are contaminated with food waste or are likely to be disposed with organic waste stream, we need also solutions that don't just enable mechanical or material recycling, but they also need to be like allowing organic recycling in order to recover the valuable materials. And there now Stora Enso works together with other partners across the value chain within, for example, compostable by design platform. That is a platform established to improve circularity of materials that can then contribute to increasing organic recycling and collection of bio-waste. And there also Stora Enso is together with partners, actually 9 partners over 7 countries. We are a member of Revolution project, that is a EU-funded project that looks particularly into the future and new materials that can deliver not just mechanically recyclable, but also organically recyclable solutions based on fully bio-based, biodegradable, and recyclable materials. And there, the project looks into developing novel bio-based and biodegradable polyesters and polyester blends, particularly for to be used like in food packaging, as well as then in agricultural applications such as mulch. And there we will now see another a few years of the project before we see the final results. But that is really to have like holistic solution within circularity when we could have applications in those areas where it truly makes sense, that can be both mechanically recyclable as well as then deliver organic or organically recyclable materials for packaging purposes.
Thanks very much, Maria. So I'd like to end this interview with thinking about the future, gazing into the crystal ball. And let's start with Oliver. You're driving the R&D agenda within Stora Enso packaging. What do you see as the key next steps?
Thank you, Tim, for the question. And when you look at the discussion, many times we mentioned action along the value chain. I think it's a partner where we have to work together. It's not an isolated solution. And we have challenges and opportunities in the future and the dynamics of packaging material recycling. And here I like to mention again that it's important to develop sorting and collection streams and technologies that we can ensure we have the right key raw material in the future, but also developing together with the partners technologies that in the processing, then we are enabling our value streams, so so-called raw material and application in reasonable useful applications to keep them as long as possible in the loop, but also have a high value utilization of this raw material. And this we are looking with our technologies to ensure and to develop solutions we can be implemented in the value chain, but also the needs to be economical and ecological viable. And I think sorting, collection, processing, ensuring application on reasonable application portfolios, this is our goal where we are looking for, and here we're working on it. And circularity means for us not only keeping them in the loop, as Maria mentioned, is also to have an end-of-life solution in our scope that we are also developing here reasonable solutions.
Thank you. And Maria, what do you see as the key considerations for the future?
I see the future having packaging not just designed for recycling, but having packaging also used packaging on its way to be collected, sorted, and recycled at scale across Europe. Knowing that some countries will be better than the others, but seeing that everyone can do better than where we are today, and everyone is contributing to the target of having packaging recycled at scale. And I see that the needed systemic change across the Europe, it is enabled by collaboration across the whole packaging value chain, and then delivering to the transition to a circular bioeconomy by combining both material recycling as well as organic recycling.
That's a great way of summing up the future that I think we're all trying to push towards. Thank you so much, Maria Holopainen and Oliver Kuhn, for sharing that vision with us today. And we hope that our audience will get a chance to talk a lot more about packaging sustainability and to join Stora Enso in that conversation, as we will all be back together at the Sustainable Packaging Summit this year, taking place in Utrecht in the Netherlands from the 10th to the 12th of November. Hope to see you there. In the meantime, our Sustainability Awards competition is open for submissions at the moment until the 14th of March. So if you are involved in important projects, initiatives, innovations in this area, then we warmly invite you to submit to that. For now, thank you very much, everyone, for listening to this podcast. Thank you to Oliver and Maria for joining us, and we'll be back soon. Goodbye.